What's up, guys, and welcome to the ending of season 2 and the off season of 2020. And this was the year that I had planned to spend a lot of money because we had a few guys coming off the books that were making a significant amount of money. So we have a lot of money to play with this year. We're going to dive deep into the free agency class, but first, I wanted to talk about how we actually did this year, the team that we fielded this year, and we did pretty well. We were 2 games off the wild card, and I don't think we didn't really have one single starter who felt confident sitting on the mound every 5th day. Our bullpen was decent. At times it blew up, which is why we were 10th in the AL in bullpen ERA, so that's kind of a yikes, but we were a lot better than that, I felt like, bullpen-wise. And, obviously offensively, we had one of the best offenses in the AL. Suzuki, our top 5 prospect last year, coming into this year, had a very big year. Was almost a 5-win player, had 36 stolen bases. Did not strike out but 53 times, which is what you love to see, especially in a lineup like this, which is very susceptible to striking out. Played in 148 games, so he did take the bulk of the responsibility. Originally, we had him as a bench bat, so we could have played him even longer, and he probably would have been a 5-win player. But this is a guy that, going forward, he's going to be the guy. He's 23 years old. Obviously, his skill set is very much improved at the plate. He's extremely athletic, one of the fastest players in the league. He led the AL in stolen bases, obviously. Can play just about anywhere on the diamond, so we are going to find a way to get him out there every single night if possible. So, yeah. Elvis Andrus is still going strong, was an all-star last year. His 3rd all-star game, first since 2012. Still good defensively. Still a leader in the clubhouse and still good at the plate, obviously, hitting 285 with a 333 OBP. The OBP's down a bit, but he was close to a 4-run player, and his power numbers were back up, his highest home run total since 2017. So Elvis is still kicking. He's 32 years old, so he's not old by any means, but the contract expires in 2 years, and we probably won't pick that up because we have guys that are in the system like Anderson Tejada, Eli White, that can come in and do a good job. So we're enjoying the last few years with Elvis Andrus, and he's been very good. So excited about Elvis Andrus. And he's on a fairly small contract as well. That's not bad at all for a guy like Elvis. So, yeah, Nomar Mazara really broke out in a big way last year in his first year in left field. Was hitting over 300 most of the year, but he finished at 297 with 376 OBP, so you love to see that. Was almost a 5-win player, hit over 30 homers, actually hit his 30th homer in the last game of the season, and he did get hurt for about 3 weeks, so he could have had an even bigger year. Would have definitely broke the 100 RBI total. Might have broke 300 average. So, really big year for Nomar, and he was pretty good defensively as well in left field, so that was really the only question mark for him going into the year, and he answered that. So, big year for him, and he was an all-star as well. Willie Calhoun had a very good year in his first full year. He was a 3.3 win player. Obviously, defensively, he's extremely bad, but he's our DH, so it doesn't really matter there. Hit 24 bombs, 82 ribbies, 281 average with 357 OBP. OPS was close to 850. OPS plus was at 125. Just a good player, a really good DH. He's always been a good hitter. The question mark has always been, where does he fit in? Because he doesn't play good defense anywhere. He's very limited to positions In real life, it's second base and corner outfield. He doesn't have the arm strength to play right field, really, so it's really left field and second base. And second base is obviously locked down, so Willie's never really had a spot. But now that Chu's gone, he's become the full-time DH, and he's really taken it in stride. So excited about Willie going forward. He is on that cheap deal. He's a young 26. So, yeah. Ronald Guzman did start out the year pretty poorly, but he turned it around. He was a negative win player, if you guys remember in the last episode, but he didn't have a great year, but was still a one-win player, so above the replacement level. The power numbers weren't really there all year. He only hit 9 homers coming off of a 23-homer season. Played in just about as many games, 155 compared to 161. Could never really just find his stroke. So we're going to see how he does next year. I expect him to bounce back. Maybe he wasn't the guy that he was in 2019. Maybe he just had a really good year. But I'm fine with that. He plays good defense. He's pretty good at the plate. And that's really all we need out of a first baseman, to play good defense and then, be a 5-hole hitter. I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that, especially when your lineup is outside of him really balanced. So we'll see what he does next year. Ronald Guzman is an all-star, so it's not like he's a bad player or anything. But I don't think that he's necessarily what he was in 2019, but I do think that he is better than what he was this year. So if we can get kind of an in-between 2-win player, I'm completely fine with that. He's not on a deal where it's necessarily bad or anything. I mean, it's 37 over 6. Not bad at all, especially for the first baseman of the future, your first baseman going forward into the window. So not bad. It is a good sign that he turned it around. Bubba Thompson finished the year extremely strong. He was the AL Player of the Month at one point. Has a chance to win Rookie of the Year. So, we'll see if he wins that. We'll take a look at the messages where I store all of what happens in the league to be able to remember. Obviously, he's a freak athlete, great in the field. Has a high work ethic. The arm is phenomenal. He's a former high school quarterback. And he really made a jump at the plate this year. Started out pretty slow, so I was beginning to question, whether he would pick it back up, as he was tremendous last year in AA, or this year in AA. He started out tremendous, and last year obviously was really good in high A ball. But in 136 games, he was nearly a 3-win player, and he's only going to get better, obviously. So Bubba Thompson looks like he's the guy going forward. Obviously taking over where Joey Gallo left a big hole in this lineup, but Bubba Thompson stepped right in and really made us a more balanced team and definitely a more balanced lineup. And our defense efficiency went through the roof with him in there, compared to 2019. So I really like this move, getting rid of Gallo and plugging Bubba, and I think he's done a nice job, and it was only his rookie year, and he's only going to get better. So Rougned Odor had a 3-win season, so that's a very good sign for a guy that wasn't quite as good in 2019. He was good, but the OBP was down a bit. The OPS was below 700. You don't want to see that out of a guy like Rugi. But listen, he's He's a Gold Glover on defense. He hit close to 30 homers this year. The average was up to 254, which isn't bad for Rugi. I mean, he can definitely do better, but 3 wins from Rugi is I'll take it. You know what I mean? Like, especially when he's hitting close to 30 bombs. So yeah, Rugi had a pretty decent year. He wasn't an all-star, but Austin Hedges is a guy that we did sign to an extension. Just go ahead and say that. He had a pretty mediocre year at the plate. Obviously, hitting 215 with a 274 OBP, but the reason that we traded for him was not to be a big thumper in the lineup. He's much better than Jeff Mathis or even Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. I mean, Isaiah wasn't really good enough at the plate to where you could just deal with his lack of defense. So Austin Hedges is a nice in-between. I can't imagine what our rotation would have been like and our bullpen without him calling games, because they were really bad, and he made Frankie Montas look like an all-star this year, and that's impressive. So he's a good locker room guy. Obviously the defense, like I said, is great. Can hit for power. I mean, he hit 15 bombs this year. So, out of your catcher, out of your backstop, I mean, that's good. Obviously, I would at least like to get the OBP up over 300. He hasn't done it yet in his career, so I don't know if that can be done, but I would like for it to be done. So, yeah. But going forward, he is going to be the catcher. He's just that good defensively. And we signed him to a 2-year deal worth $7 million, so not bad. If he makes the All-Star team, he gets an extra $400K. Julio Martinez actually slotted into center field this year. We had a rotating door of Delino, Tachi, and I think Leote got some playing time as well. But Julio Martinez was that guy that kind of stepped out and really showed that he's supposed to be the guy. I mean, he appeared in 75 games, had less than 300 plate appearances, and he was still close to a 2-win player. So the defense is there, the athleticism is there, both above league average, and then at the plate he was pretty good, hitting close to 280 with a 366 OBP. The OPS was just a tick under 800. So he will be the center fielder going forward. I'm excited about Julio Martinez, and I say that about a lot of guys, but center field was really the only question mark that we had this year. We had Delino that started out the year in center, and obviously Delino just hasn't been the same player ever since he was his rookie year after he got drafted in the Rule 5. So the fact that Julio Martinez made this huge stride and showed that he can play, and tore it up in AAA as well, really showed me that he's the center fielder going forward. So yeah, excited about that, and our lineup is looking pretty crispy. I don't think we need to spend huge money on anyone to plug into the lineup, unless there was a catcher there that just blew me out of the water that wouldn't be overly expensive. But I think everybody knows what we're going to focus on. It's the pitching staff. So let's dive deep into the current free agency class, and unfortunately for us, it's not a good one starting pitching-wise, as we can see here. Justin Verlander is really the best name that's out there. He's asking for $30 million, and he just came off of an elbow surgery. He'll be out for like the first 4 or so months of the season. So not really a guy that I'm looking to pay this kind of money for. He's also 37, almost 38, coming off of an elbow surgery. I mean, unless he just has little to no interest and wants to sign for like maybe 15 over 2 years or so, maybe 1 year, then I'll definitely take that for JV. He can still pitch deep into ball games. He still has good stuff, but yeah, I mean, last year in Atlanta, his first year in the NL, he had a 3.4 ERA and he threw close to 165 innings. He was a 3-win player. I mean, had a really good year. I can't lie, but the elbow surgery is really throwing me off right now. I did say coming into this offseason that I was willing to spend a lot of money because, we have money to spend, but still want to spend it wisely. Don't really want to throw the bag at somebody coming off of an elbow surgery. So unless things change there, we won't be picking up Justin Verlander. Dallas Keuchel is a guy whose stuff doesn't really blow me away. I mean, he's digressing, if anything. He's almost 33, and last year with the Yankees, obviously pitching in that little league ballpark, it's going to be a bit rough for a guy that doesn't throw hard. But Dallas Keuchel had a 5.21 ERA, was still a 2.5 win player, so it's because he went deep into ball games. But yeah, I mean, we could offer him a contract. He's looking for 6 years, and that would pay him until he's close to 39. And I'm not really interested. We need starting pitching, badly enough to grab a guy like this and grab a guy who's coming off of an elbow surgery like Justin Verlander. But I'm not willing to spend close to $100 million on these guys. When they're in their mid to late 30s, I just can't. I can't do that. I know we have a lot of money, but I can't do that. So Dallas Keuchel probably off the board unless, like I said, he doesn't get any interest. He didn't get any interest going into the 2019 season, so anything's possible. If we can sign him on like a 2-year prove it deal, and he can be a frontline starter for us, then of course we'll take a look into it. But right now, it's just looking like he's not really the option. Charlie Morton is another guy coming off of an arm injury. Obviously, the stuff is still good for Charlie. 2018, he was really, really good with Houston. 2019, wasn't pitching as well, but obviously your pitching coaches aren't as good in Tampa Bay. So his ERA was ballooned up to 4.28. Didn't have a full year though, obviously because of the arm injury. But 37 years old, he's a good locker room guy, but he's asking for close to $10 million, and he won't be available until 3 months into the season. So I don't know. He's asking for a 1-year prove it deal, but he's digressing, especially in the control category. But we'll see. Charlie Morton is an option, more so than Justin Verlander and Dallas Keuchel. But he's still not somebody that I'm just overly excited about bringing in. So we'll see. If an in-division rivalry an in-division rival is trying to sign Charlie, then maybe that'll spark my interest a little bit more. But for right now, I'm not overly interested. But he's a fringe type guy. We'll keep an eye on him. An interesting name that is here is Jose Quintana. The only downside is he is a compensation guy. I mean, we do have a middle type pick, probably 18, 17 or so, because we were pretty decent this year. But he's almost 32. He didn't have a great year last year. He does throw a lot of innings, as you can see. He's a workhorse. I like that about him, but 2019 he was better. We're going to get this type guy, or we're going to get this type guy. I mean, it's kind of up in the air. But what we are going to get is he's going to throw 200 innings. But if we go to offer him a contract, keep in mind he's almost 32. He won 7 years. We can probably get that down to 5, but I still don't want to pay Jose Quintana until he's damn near 38 and lose a pick for it. So, yeah, I don't know. This class is kind of ass when it comes to starting pitching. And I got to talk about this as well. Almost forgot. Noah Syndergaard, as you guys can see. Noah Syndergaard will be a free agent next year. He'll be looking for big money, but we will have it. And he's more enticing than all of these guys put together. I mean, he goes deep in ball games. 2019, he threw 226 innings. I mean, they are really maximizing this guy while they have him. He's coming off of a Cy Young Award winning season. He's a good locker room guy. Obviously, I mean, we know about the talent that he possesses. He has the talent to be a true workhorse, challenge for Cy Youngs. So next year, I am looking to bring Noah Syndergaard home, as he's from Mansfield. So really the only guy that I'm looking at bringing in is maybe Charlie Morton, and that's to really front this rotation this year. As there are some other interesting names. I've made offers to Joe Musgrove, Matt Boyd, and John Lester. And John Lester's really a guy that his stuff has kind of fallen off, but he's not a compensation guy, and he has the stamina to be like a workhorse. So we'll probably bring him in and pitch him mid-rotation-ish, but he could throw a lot of innings, and that's really what I'm looking for. I'm tired of putting so much stress on my bullpen. Robertson is the guy that I'm bringing in, hopefully. This guy, we had the 10th rated bullpen or whatever last year. He's almost 36, so that's old for a bullpen arm. But as you guys can see, his stuff is just phenomenal. He's coming off of a fantastic year in Philly. His first year in Philly wasn't as good, but it was still really, really good. 2018, he was good with the Yankees. So we know what we're getting in David Robertson. I think, we offered him a 2-year deal, so it's not anything crazy. 2 years, 20 million, 10 per year isn't bad at all for him. And I think the second year is a team option as well. So David Robertson is a guy that I'm excited about bringing in. Already talked about Joe Musgrove. I mean, his control is amazing. Pretty good fastball, pretty good slider. Other than that, he really only has 2 pitches. Had a down year last year, and Pitt was 4-17 with a 5 ERA. I mean, it's pretty bad. But the year before, he was better, still bad. 2018, he was pretty good with Pitt. So, I mean, he's just a guy we're bringing in on a 1-year deal, hopefully. Maybe as like a trade piece. Not somebody that I want to keep around, going forward. He's not really somebody that you can build around, as he's almost 28 years old. I know we are in our window now, but he's degressing, if anything. He's not getting any better. Matt Boyd, another guy that's in his 20s, almost about to hit 30, though. He can eat up innings. That's what I really like about him, and his stuff really isn't that bad. Last year was pretty good in Detroit before he got hurt. They sent him down to AAA, actually, and he pitched really well. The year before, in 2019, he was pretty bad. Had like a 5.5 ERA, but he did throw a lot of innings, so that's what I like about him. 2018, he was better, but bringing him in, hopefully, we can move him. These are both 1-year deals, similar to the Odorizzi and Michael Walker deals. Hopefully we can move them for pieces. And this is the big deal that I'm trying to bring in. Toshizo Matsuyama. He is a lefty. He's 27 years old, so him and the South Korean are right around the same age bracket. Another guy that can easily throw 2 innings plus if need be, can touch 100 plus, can do it in the strike zone. As you can see, his control is very good. Our scout thinks that he'll be one of the top closers in the league. He probably won't close ball games for us, but just a really, really, really good pitcher. You see this a lot. International guys coming over in the pool, and most of the time they're bullpen guys. I think there's a few position players this year that came over internationally, and they're pretty good, but my lineup's too good for that. But 4 years, we'll be paying him until he's 31, and a young 31 as well. And it's sub 10 years, 10 mil a year as well, so it's not bad at all. This really solidifies the bullpen. Just take a mental image of Robertson and Matsuyama and then add them into this. He is obviously extremely, extremely good already. Keone Kela. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, Keone Kela. I brought him back. He was on the trading block, and I brought Keone Kela back. I gave him up for like a player to be named type player. I mean, he was nothing. Yeah, you see Keone Kela was on the trading block. I saw that and I was like, what the fuck? So Pittsburgh has been losing a lot. They've lost in 2019 and 2020. So they threw Keone up on the block because he's about to hit free agency, and we snagged him for minor league catcher Tyler Sanchez, and as you can see, he's probably never going to touch a major league field. And we threw in Samir Vivas, who's absolutely god awful. So, and he's already been released. So, great to see Keone Kela back in a Texas uniform. Really, really struggled his first year in Pitt, but then got back to his normal self last year, and that's what you love to see. He is a fragile guy, which is why we're picking up David Robertson to really, 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 really solidify this bullpen. I think this is going to be the best bullpen in the MLB next year. So excited about him. Obviously, we know what he can do. This is when I signed Hedges. Richard Lovelady won the AL Reliever of the Year. He had a really good year in KC. Surprised they got him 38 save opportunities, as they were a really bad team, but he had a 170 ERA, so he made the most of them. As you can see, he's a really, really good lefty. Ty Buttrey of the Los Angeles Angels in division was really good last year as well, second in the voting. Matt Barnes of the Boston Red Sox was really good as well, 46 saves. It's pretty impressive. And Blake Trinan, we all know he's amazing. In the NL, Jeremy Jeffress, the guy that scammed the Rangers, won the Reliever of the Year, and he earned himself a pretty big contract. So that's good for him, I guess. He's not a good locker room guy, but really good year last year. 2018 obviously had an extremely good year. What the fuck? And then 2019 he was really good as well. So he's good for them. He's dog shit for us for some reason. Dan Winkler of the Atlanta Braves was really good last year. Had a 1.52. Didn't have a lot of save opportunities, which is even more impressive because this game values that a lot. But he finished second in the Reliever of the Year voting without being the closer. Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets, I mean, his stuff, holy shit. Obviously in 2018, one of the best relievers in the game. Had nearly 60 saves with a 196. And then his 2 years in New York, he was a bit worse, but still one of the best closers in the game. I mean, he is a fucking savage, and he is a free agent in a couple years, so That'll be interesting. Alfredo Serrato, actually a guy on the trading block, had a really good year. 186. As you guys can probably remember, he was a guy that we were interested in when he hit the international market, but his age is just what really threw me off. He's almost, actually tomorrow he'll be 33. But yeah, he'll hit free agency again in 2 years. So I'm sure he'll get paid if he keeps pitching like that. Corey Knebel and Craig Kimbrell round out the NL. Silver Sluggers in the AL. Yasmani Grandal's there. Rio Ruiz of the Orioles. So it's good that they finally found a good player for them. Gleyber Torres is there with 35 homers. And Nomar Mazara there is the only Ranger. In the NL, it's good to see Brian McCann back in that conversation. Conforto hit 44 bombs. It's impressive. Victor Robles had a very good year. Juan Soto had an extremely good year as he won the MVP as well, so they're not missing Harper at all. AL Rookie of the Year. As you guys can see, our guy is third. And that's a bit fucked, honestly, because Bo Bichette had a 3.7 WAR year. Miyamoto had a 4.6 WAR year. So obviously they value home runs a lot as he hit 24 bombs. But I feel like Miyamoto definitely had a better year than him and Gigliotti. Gigliotti did have a really good year, though. He was a 5.1 WAR player. But I don't know. He had a better stolen base percentage. He didn't strike out as much. Was just a better player in my eyes. And he played in more games. So I don't know. We kind of got hosed there. Austin Hayes. Feels like he's been a rookie forever. But he finally completes his first year of Major League service time. And he did have a really good year. So good for the Orioles again. Rangel Rivelo had a really good year for the Indians. So that's good to see. And the NL, Chichiro Kaneko, 37 years old, and his rookie year, he was that international guy coming over from Japan. He had a really good year. Was a guy that we were interested in signing, but he was asking for a lot. So yeah, he's already digressed. I mean, he's 37. So Garrett Cole, in his first year with the Oakland A's, coming over from the in-division Houston Astros, had an outstanding year. So he was truly their workhorse. Obviously, when he signed that contract, it was like a wow, like Oakland's finally paying somebody some big money, and then he actually fulfills it. So good for them. Trevor Bauer finished second. He's really stepped forward as the ace in Cleveland after Corey Kluber left, or has gotten old. I don't know. Yeah, he's gotten a bit older. He has a 3.82, but he's still throwing over 200 innings at 34, almost 35. And he's a free agent after next year, so that's interesting. Cy Young Award winner, you guys already know, Noah Syndergaard. Patrick Corbin finished second, so wow, another guy that's potentially fulfilling that huge contract given to him. But we won't really know until the 2023 season. As 24, he gets paid $35 million. He actually does get that $500K bonus, so good for him. Aaron Nola is there as well. He's had 3 just amazing seasons for the Phillies. Wow, very impressive. And they did lock him up, so I don't blame them. Kenta Maeda, this game loves him for some reason. But yeah, he had a really good year. Yeah, Mookie Betts was the AL MVP, no surprise there. Gleyber Torres is there. Kyle Tucker is there. Thinking of Kyler Murray. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is there in his second year. He had a really big year. The power numbers weren't quite there, but talent-wise, obviously he can hit the ball out of the ballpark. Not sure if they were being careful with him or not, as he did have a 400 OBP, so maybe he was getting walked quite a bit. Juan Soto was the NL MVP with my boy Ronald Acuna finished second. It was a close race. As you guys can see, Acuna finished with a 9 WAR. Incredible year from Acuna. So these are the guys that we brought back in arbitration. Matt Strahm is going to get $1 million, as he really didn't have that great of a year. But he was starting ball games, and he is not a starter by any means. So as we look at his splits, how do you do that? There's a way that you can do this. Yeah, as a starter, he was absolutely god-awful. And then out of the pen, he was a lot better, as you guys can see. Chris Martin, we brought back. He had another good year with us, and he hasn't really degressed. So Chris Martin is a guy that we could potentially move at the deadline this year. He's a guy that's from Arlington. He has pitched very well for us the past 2 years. I mean, in 2018 he wasn't that good, but just a guy that has really good control, throws the ball in the zone, gets outs, doesn't strike a lot of guys out, which is probably the most impressive thing about him. He gets outs without having to strike people out. Doesn't have overpowering stuff, but he throws strikes. And Keone Kela, obviously, we're going to bring back after trading for him. He signed to a $5.3 million deal. And these are the international free agents. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else to talk about. Oh, yeah, Altuve wins the AL hitting crown. Ryan Braun gets his 2000th hit. Trout hits number 300. Miggy hits number 500. Joey Votto hits number 2000. So does Yadi Molina and Dustin Pedroia. Esteban Espinoza was a guy that we signed as a international prospect, and he looks amazing. So he's another top prospect that we find. So really making an emphasis on rebuilding this farm first before we try to do anything. We were 2 games back from a wild card, and I actually got rid of people more than brought people in. If I would have gave up some prospects for some, major league arms, we definitely would have at least made the wild card. So this year, I expect us to be a playoff team, even with the shitty rotation. But we'll see what happens. The draft pool. I already went over all this. We took who did we take? That kid out of Georgia, I can't remember. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. The next episode, we will be right after spring training, so we'll see, who impressed me. Anderson Tejada is going to get a lot of playing time. I've talked about him a lot. As you guys can see, he's pretty much major league ready. Last year in AA, he had a 4-win season. He was very good defensively. He had 27 homers. Just very, very impressive year from Anderson Tejada. So he'll get a lot of playing time in spring training. Cole Winn is another guy that has developed really, really nicely. Didn't have the most impressive year last year in A-ball, but he will make the jump to high A-ball this year. His skill set has really, really developed nicely. Has a major league average fastball and slider. Just really has to develop that curveball, and you would like to at least develop that changeup to be like an average to maybe below average major league pitch. But right now, the potential of developing that changeup looks a little bleak. But even without the changeup, his control is really, really good as an elite fastball, and his 2 off-speed pitches are above major league average. So I'm excited about Colwyn. Maybe he can be that ace, that homegrown ace finally. Scout thinks he has the potential to be a number 3 starter, so that's exciting. Jack Leiter, yeah, last year did not pitch well in low A ball. We'll keep him there. He's actually kind of like not developed very well either, so that's a disappointment. And yeah, it went from being a potential ace to maybe being a starter at the back end of the rotation, so kind of flubbed that pick. Nick Solak, a guy that'll get spring training action, as he was good in AAA last year, hit over 280. Owen White is a guy whose stuff has really came far. His control is really bad, though. Hopefully he can develop that a bit more. Mackenzie Gore is a guy that we'll be keeping an eye on after trading Joey Gallo for him. And while we're doing that, before we end the episode, let's take a look at how Joey Gallo did. Last year with San Diego, he had a 3.8 WAR season, so he did make a big jump. But statistically, he really didn't, I don't know. He hit 41 homers. We've seen that from him before. Was just a tick under 100 RBI, so, that's still good. His strikeout numbers were below 200, which is, it's crazy to say, but that's good for him. And the average was still under 220. He hit 214, 354 OBP type guys. OPS was over 850, which is good. I guess he was really good defensively. I don't know. But, yeah, he had a good year, I guess, for the Padres. But I definitely don't miss him. Our lineup was much, much better without him. We didn't need this in our lineup anymore. So, anyways, guys, next time I'll see you is after spring training. And next year begins our path to trying to win. So, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully we pick up Noah Syndergaard next year. I thought he was going to be a free agent this year, but a year early, I guess. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, had a good year this year with the below average team. I feel like we probably overachieved, but our offense is really elite, especially with Bubba. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you at the spring training. Peace.